Yeah, I'm Ray Rosti. I'm the president of media at Klick Health. As you said, I've been in this industry for quite some time. I've in my first year at Klick Health, coming over from 19 years at Publicis, 12 of which was part of the leadership team that planned and launched PHM. But I've been in industry for well over 25 years, but throughout my career, I've either touched pharma or digital, and a lot of my career has been touching both pharma and digital.
Welcome to the Next Marketing with AJ Season 2, where we decode the future of healthcare marketing, one insight at a time. Today, I have with me an esteemed guest, Ray Rosti, who has been in leadership positions leading the healthcare media space across agencies. Welcome, Ray.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I'll kind of begin from your change as the cue. I think that's the kind of a theme, a new change happening in the not just in the healthcare industry, but overall world, right? And AI is that change. How are you seeing AI impacting healthcare or healthcare marketing industry in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still figuring that out. You know, when we think about the years I've been in this industry, we, you know, as an industry, whether it's healthcare or in sort of media and digital in general, we kind of have these moments of like one word that is like the big theme. It was content for years. Then it became data. Then it was omnichannel, and now it's AI. So we're kind of in this messy middle of trying to figure out how to actually live up to the potential of AI, and really pay off what AI is promising. And I think it's an interesting time. I think it's a challenging time. We're all racing towards that nirvana. But I think the nuance is in the sort of details and smaller wins.
So are you really optimistic about the change, or you think it would be a bubble?
I'm optimistic. Just like any of those big moments, I think the agencies or individuals can kind of figure out the application, define sort of the smaller chunks of what those big tentpole ideas are the ones that are going to come out on the positive end. I'm really bullish on where AI can take us, and I think you have to look at it through the lens of not artificial intelligence, but assisted intelligence, and how does it make us perform better as individuals? How does it allow us to scale? And how does it allow us to get to insights and outcomes quicker?
Like, have you seen any changes like that AI has done? Not just in healthcare, like generally.
Well, I think when you say changes,
Like, has it taken any jobs for any category?
From where I sit, I'm not seeing it. I am sure there are parts of the world and parts in industries that are where AI is really taking over jobs. I think for us in media and in pharma, I think we're seeing it really accelerate what we can do. I think it's allowing us to get to outcomes quicker in just the day-to-day work. And what we hope is it gets to outcomes quicker for our clients as well.
Mm-hmm. So it's more, I think, usage in terms of optimization and improving the efficiencies.
I believe that's where we're at right now. You know, the lens that Klick looks at it is the idea of hacking your job, of how do you become smarter, quicker, more efficient, scaled by using AI to sort of assist you into getting where you need to get to quicker, assist you in streamlining the way in which you work, and maybe allowing you to refocus on the things that really require your attention versus the minutia that maybe we get pulled into.
Now with AI, right, with all the data kind of going together, only then it can generate those insights, right, and intelligence. How would pharma kind of come up to it, right? Is it really safe for them? Something that they have protected for years, forever?
Obviously, from a HIPAA perspective, you have to understand the use case and what you want to do with that data. But I think at a general level, I think the promise of AI, and when you have disparate data, is it can take unstructured data and build structure around it at scale. It can work across multiple data sets. The outcome is reliant on the prompts that is given. But I do think that's exciting, right? I think that's exciting to think about. And when you think about it, it's not just uniting data, but uniting people. One thing I always, when we were sort of in the data phase of the industry, I had a saying of like, connected data starts with connected people. And I think AI actually has the ability to reverse engineer that, right? Of connecting data in order to connect people who understand what two people may be, groups of people should be working closer together based on the data that they're sitting on.
It's an interesting perspective, right? Often at times we see like as AI comes in our lives, right? It will become more artificial, right? We'll stop applying our brains, we'll start depending more. But I like the perspective how we're kind of changing it to connecting people.
I think you have to look at both sides of the equation, whether it's social media, whether it is AI, and sort of understand the good and bad that comes with it.
Yeah, I think that's true for everything. So what are the bad ones you could think for AI?
It's a long-winded way of saying, I think there's two things: the source of the information, and making sure that information is accurate, and making sure that the return is based on something unique to you if you're building it for a differentiated purpose.
Right. I think everyone talks about AI, right? If you meet any startup, right, AI would be the first word.
Yep.
Right. As a VC also looks for AI. So whether there is something or not, right, but AI would be as part of the marketing pitch, right? How do you really validate, right, if it is real or not, like as you mentioned?
I think in anything that gets presented is really in the proof, right? We live in an industry where everyone's creating tools and data sets and slapping logos on it. And, what I preach a lot to my team is let's have proof of how that plays out. Let's not tell them, let's show them, the reality of what a tool or an application does for us. And I think that's the hard part of where we're at right now. I think everyone's racing to show or talk about, that they use AI. Yeah. And I think you have to be really diligent at having a test and learn plan behind the scenes in order to get to the outcome you want to get to. And I think the challenge is everyone's looking for a home run. And right now we need singles, right? A bunch of singles, to use a baseball term. And those singles can compound into something much bigger. That is the focus at which we are really looking at.
So in your current role, how are you like really using AI for healthcare media?
I think we're doing a lot of tests and learns around the way in which we can compile data from a planning segmentation perspective. I would say that the realest application right now is applying AI to our analytics. And I think it's the easiest place to start because you're dealing with structured data. You're dealing with a measurement plan. So you have two important inputs into that equation. And I think it's an easy place to test and learn, not only analysis, but then optimization out of that analysis. And, in digital, we have the ability to quickly test, do a rapid test for 2 weeks and see how it performs.
In last 20 years, right, the word omnichannel has been there. There are more words, data, content that came, but became not so common, but omnichannel has stayed.
Yeah.
Right. And you still see that curiosity and inquisitiveness, right? Whether in any conference, right, or any marketing pitch about omnichannel.
Yeah.
Right. And still it is an unanswered question, like how omnichannel are you? Right? It's a journey.
Yeah.
And everyone is at a different stage of the journey. How do you think for AI, right? How would that journey pan out, right? Would it be a similar journey, exploratory journey that will keep going? Or it would be faster, right?
Yeah.
With so much data that Omnichannel has gathered.
Yeah, I think I keep going back to sort of the devil in the details of how you structure that. So if you have a well-structured omnichannel plan where you have touch points identified, you have data signals identified, you have a hypothesis of what's happening in that moment, and you align that to, your variations in messaging. I think that's where layering AI on top of that then becomes that much more interesting. The sort of test and learn to outcome, the test and learn, media mix analysis with AI. I think those are the things where the promise, I think, from an omnichannel perspective is instead of waiting till end of month to look at what's happening, it could potentially predict or model out something in real time, and we can make those changes quicker to the campaign to see how it plays out.
Seen a lot of, I think, campaigns. We see like a lot of research and planning is done to create those customer journeys, whether physician or patient journeys. Like planners do an amazing job.
Yeah.
And this is the message you should communicate to this particular segment, right? But when we see that translating into really media activation, right, it's very limited, right?
Sure.
Goes into very fewer channels, and a bulk goes in the top of the funnel, where you could like not really measure the outcomes or attribute the outcomes of it. And how do you see that changing, right? Because I think AI could be really enabler for omnichannel.
Yeah, I think the step back that's needed is defining omnichannel. I think if we had 100 people in this room, we asked to define omnichannel, you'd have probably 100 different answers, right?
101 definitions there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the first step is defining, what omnichannel looks like to you as an organization. There are certainly firewalls and walled gardens that we just will never be able to accomplish. So I think, the dependency is obviously, to be true omnichannel dependency is first party data. We really can't deal in first party data for consumers, so it leaves physician marketing, and that's where we can obviously pay that off. But you need a foundation of that. You need a foundation of data. You need a tech infrastructure to warehouse that data, and you need a way to connect that data. And I think we see clients in various stages of having that framework and infrastructure together.
Do you believe it is easier to do in HCP, and the potential to use AI in marketing in HCP is much more than in the patient, or no?
I think it's the lower hanging fruit right now, in the sense that we do have data from an ACP perspective. We can do one-to-one in physician marketing. There's a lot of structure to that data. We get passed back based on exposure. So all of those components, as well as the historical prescribing data that we have, I think make it a quicker win from an AI perspective. I think patient is a little bigger puzzle based on privacy and regulation. I think working backwards in the patient from the analytics piece that tells us what's working, and maybe redefining the media mix analysis through AI is probably the way in which we would work backwards from a patient perspective into maybe some new learnings.
So if you had a magic wand, right, and you could do whatever you want to do, and that magic wand could do anything in AI only, right, limited powers with this wand, how would you like your healthcare media journey, right, from a planning to analytics?
If I had a magic wand, and what would be most interesting, I think, to us, and which would really accelerate some of our planning process, is that detailed journey mapping. And I don't mean just the symptoms recognition and the diagnosis. I mean more of a touch point analysis, the data and information that happens in that moment, that allows us to have some sort of a better understanding of sort of what the patient's going through, what questions they have, and how they are trying to navigate their healthcare.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about HCP micro segments, right? And that micro segment could be as small as one physician.
Yeah.
Right. And how could you create like a omni-channel campaign for a micro segment?
Right. Right.
Which could be the future.
Well, I think, yes, and I think you think about the fact that the stimulus for a physician prescribing is a patient walking, through the door or in his or her exam room. So I think the correlation between the segmentation of the physician and the patients that they're seeing, I think is where the real interesting stuff can happen. And when you think about that at a geo perspective, well, the micro-segmentation is pretty overwhelming. But I think when you think about the application of AI, every zip code actually could fit maybe neatly into 5 different buckets of scenarios that are happening in that area.
So let's move to the next part of the show, our rapid fire.
All right.
Right. So in this, I'll ask you 5 questions, and you can just answer whatever comes in your mind first thing.
Okay.
And you might win something also if you do well. Right. Are you ready?
Yes.
So first question is, one AI tool you can swear by right now?
I'm pretty much all in on ChatGPT. I haven't wandered too far from that.
A brand you think has nailed personalization outside of healthcare?
I think Amazon. They know what I want to buy before I even think it.
Yes. What is more exciting, data or design?
Data.
You're a data guy.
Yeah.
So one favorite thing about working with healthcare clients?
I think it's an amazing puzzle to solve. There is no other industry where, as a marketer, you have to market to 2 separate audiences who have different sets of priorities, and hope that in 15 minutes when they talk to each other, they are well informed about your client's brand, and they make a decision that's positive for your client.
What would your AI assistant be called?
I think Jeeves. I'll pay homage to my old search days.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
so you have
absolutely.
earned an AI gift.
All right.
Yes,
Awesome.
a little
Thank
AI-based
you.
gift for you. Let's move to the next section. We call it Tables Turn. Right now, you become the host, and
Okay.
I'm the guest. So it is like next marketing with Ray now.
Yeah. I think the big question for me is you're talking to a lot of people in the industry. What's the thing that you've heard that you think is most interesting or exciting?
I think what I heard that was most interesting, right, is I think common sentiment is optimism, right, about the channel, which is good, right? You see everywhere. But I see a fear of that as well, right? And that fear is like, would we lose relevance, right? One thing which I heard interesting, like how you should use AI, right, was take a pause and not use AI, first think. That was the interesting application of AI. I heard that first think, because if you become too dependent on AI, you may lose your thinking.
Right.
Right? Which is true, because now you cannot imagine a world without internet.
Right.
You're so dependent on internet, you become restless if you lose internet on your phone, like even for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine in the next 5 years, you'll be so dependent on AI. We're building this playbook for our young brand and agency marketeers.
Yeah.
So what would be, I think, your advice? What should a media planner or a media marketer keep in mind? How to best use AI for planning, activating, or analyzing campaigns?
Yeah, I think the foundations of media planning are still there, right? It is, understanding your audience and your audience segments, and their wants and needs, and what success looks like. So the brief, the media brief, is still so very important, because that is part of the foundation, as part of the knowledge graph that you're building in media planning. I think understanding the touch point analysis, or the journey, is also super important. So that's the framework at which someone traverses the landscape to get to outcome, and everything in between.
Excellent. Any closing thoughts?
No, I think, overall, I think it's an exciting time, because as I sort of started this conversation, it was content, it was data, it was omnichannel, and now it's AI. Well, if you think about it, all of those things stitched together really neatly, right? Content is information that users are seeking to learn more. Data is the way in which we can understand who those individuals are. Omnichannel is the framework at which we're able to deliver messaging across that journey. AI can very much be the thing that can stitch that together at scale for us and surface a lot of insights and information. So I think when I look at it through that lens, it's really exciting. It's a really exciting time. So, you know, where we're at is sort of rolling up our sleeves and looking for those small wins that we hope will stitch together something pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, nope, indeed. I think very, very exciting times for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think the last part is we're building a health leaders wall where we are putting pictures of health leaders like yourself.
Okay.
So I think Matt will help in taking a picture for us.
Okay.
Which you can sign and validate. It's not AI generated.
Okay.
It's real.
Sounds good.
What AI does is I think it turns that practice into being more dynamic and more predictive in terms of using that historical data, but also real data and real signals that are coming from current behaviors and being responsive to what humans are doing in their kind of day-to-day journeys to understand not only, you know, who they look like or whether or not they might be right to be in a segment, but actually where they might be in a segment on a journey. And that, I think, can only really be done from AI, which I think is the promise.